Look cute as ever.
Hey guys, welcome
All
back
right.
to another ArcEOX podcast. It is August 20th, and tonight we have a pretty interesting episode for you guys. We are going to be talking about, what are we talking about? Terra Preta, the Sequoias, and we're going to continue what we didn't finish last week, which was the origins of oil. Ooh, but before we dig into that, I have an interesting thing to discuss with you. Okay, before we get to that, how's your week been?
It's good.
I don't want to be rude. I'm sorry. How was your week?
Okay, since you're asking, I went to the Hare Krishna birthday party with the Hare Krishnas here in northern Seattle.
How was that?
That was the most I've been exposed, and I've been around all of that in the past. I've been to India and I've been around it. I've been to the big pyramid temple in Bangalore, which was like, it's literally a pyramid, and they finished it in like 88. So it's fairly new, and it's really crazy cool. And you don't just go to it, you go through the whole Krishna, you go through kind of it's hard to describe. It's a bit like being Catholic, except completely Eastern. And so if you can imagine,
I don't even know what to think about that.
I'm trying to look, they're wonderful people. It was an amazing time, but it's, there's not a but, and it includes, you're leading up. So everyone around the world, they fast for Hare Krishna's birthday, and then they start their ceremonies.
How long is that? How long is that fast?
Ooh, that's all day. When they wake up, they drink water. And so from the time they wake up in the day.
Just one day?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. And the feeding, the festival part, the feeding starts at midnight in whatever time zone you're in. So the celebration and the conversations and the singing and the chanting for that went about approximately, I believe they started about 7 hours. I was there for 5 of it. And you learn, and then there's some gurus that discussed, they did a few stories of, I learned some things about Krishna I did not know.
Like what?
Well, the biggest one is they discussed his love for his partner, and that one of the greatest ways to enlighten yourself is through that relationship. That Krishna, one of his ways that you can love Krishna and be as elevated as you can be is to have that experience in this time that you're in. So they did a few stories about his relationship with his true love, and that was interesting because the allegories and the stories and how to live your life, and then there was a couple funny ones, but then it was a lot of chanting. So the chantings are more like songs, but they're more like psalms, but they're funner, way more fun, way more drums. What was that?
Do they dance?
Oh yeah. So there's not all the time. A lot of it's like sitting there. So like the leader, how it works is you get told what page to turn to. There's a book, and the book is in Hindi and it's in English, and it's sung in Hindi, but you can read what it means. And everything about the music is to enlighten you, to engage your brain entrainment, and to reach that level of joy and engagement in the ether of your higher self.
That's
to get rid
beautiful.
of your brain.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And to get rid of your brain and be.
Yeah. Basically what Krishna, what they're trying to communicate is that your brain, instead of your heart, is what stops you ultimately from reaching your highest levels, like your highest levels of love. Your high, and that was stressed with the Krishnas, is that to really know yourself in this life, you have to know love. And within that, when you're chanting, the point of the chants, and there's more like songs, you're singing. And so the leader will sing the main parts and then you repeat them back. So that's how it goes for hours. And some of them are 2-3 minutes, some of them are 4-5 minutes. And then some
Is it
get
in
really,
English?
really, no, it's most people, I think, because they're Western, I think they're singing phonetically. So they're following the singer, but they're singing it in Hindi and they're reading it in English, but they're singing in Hindi. And so when the point of the music, which is the prayers, they're songs but they're prayers. But part of it is to stop by just chanting Hari Bol or Hari Krishna, Hari Hari Bol, or Hari Krishna. And as you're chanting, it's to make your brain to stop
Like meditation.
and
It's
to
like
let
a
your heart
mantra, right?
and yeah, yeah. So you're really, and in celebrating together, and part of it is to really get to those spaces that are beyond just your mind, to not be stuck in. That's where we get weighted down with materialism, with focusing on our age, whatever is materialistic in your universe. The idea of all of it is to really reach those higher states, and that highest state is love. And one of the basically what I learned in that night, what's really core to them, is that love that you can cultivate on this planet. And again, they're citing Hare Krishna's personal relationship, but that the way you don't have to think way out there. You don't have to figure out the universe. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to do anything. You just have to figure out that. And at the same time, you don't have to dwell on your finances. You don't have to dwell on anything. And so it was really, really, really fun. The chanting and the singing and
I
everything
love that
was.
for you. I like
Yeah,
that I love that you got to experience that.
yeah, I sent you what I could of it, but there's certainly more videos to show you, and a lot of it is, and I guess what I didn't realize is that I think in one of the photos you could see there's an elderly guru up front, and he's Western, and his daughter is the one who was trained to do the chanting. So most of the music was led by this apparently pretty famous. This gal is pretty well known, and her father being this really aged guru within the Krishnas. They're there as the host, as the host request. And then there was a couple other gentlemen that were speaking. So you have this great combo of some of the prayers and some of the songs, and then it would be the stories, and then it would be the prayers and the songs. And basically, if that was like, if you had to go to the bathroom, fine. Otherwise, everyone was there in that room. And there must have been, I counted about 50 people in what was really just a basement living room.
Wow. Okay.
And yeah, there was windows were open, and sadly there's a room behind where I'm sitting with Lori, and we're in the back, and there's a room with air conditioning, and finally someone opened the room, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it works so well. Like, why isn't this open? I'm like, because I'm wearing white pants, and I have Lori gave me one of the prayer beaded necklaces, and so I have that, and it was really, really fun.
That's so fun. I'm glad you got to experience that. So I have an interesting piece of news that I just recently read this week that I just want to throw out there. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it.
Okay.
Apparently, leave it to China.
Okay.
China has a pregnancy robot.
What?
That is going to be released supposedly next year. And this robot grows actual human babies.
No.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
No.
It grows actual human babies inside of the robot. There's a cord that feeds the baby. Yes, it's true. It's true.
Like a USB cable, or it's actually growing a baby with a cord
growing
of juice?
An actual like fleshy human ball of mush baby, like a squishy, big-eyed,
I
squeezy baby. Yeah,
I
China's
could
gonna
would
do that.
totally lost it. This is like
I know. I Okay, so from what I read, some people are in support of it because they say, and I'm going to do air quotes because this was a quote,
oh great.
that
Okay.
some people are in support of it because they say that it saves women from the suffering of pregnancy.
So many things are wrong with this. You're a mother. What do you think?
My biggest issue with this is there is a maternal connection. Like there's a maternal
Absolutely.
connection that happens. Like your baby hears your heartbeat. Your baby can
Right.
feel your energy inside you. It's part of you. That baby is part of you, and it feels you, and it feels your energy, and it hears your heartbeat. Like there's a maternal bond that is not going to exist. And so in my mind, I'm like, okay, cool. Let's see what happens here. I just wonder how these humans are going to be, like what are they going to be? Normal humans, compassionate, empathetic? Well, not all humans are compassionate and empathetic, but you know what I mean? I mean, what's the prognosis? What are we looking at? What do you think about it?
Everything that you just said is the key, most important thing is that uh, through, so yes, not every time there's a father involved and there's genetics and no matter what, there's connection. However, I do think in the spirit of Hare Krishna and in the spirit of exactly the maternal thing, I do believe that in a family, the connection and a baby, they've already done vocal and music training with babies forever now. It seems like for decades now within the womb. And not only that, not only language and music and sound skills for wombed babies, but then there is everything that is esoterically and mechanically, and everything that's involved with you having that baby inside you is a requirement for that
Like
baby's success in life.
they can hear our voice. Like they can hear our voice, they can feel like the vibration running through our bodies, like
Mhm.
and this whole thing just feels unnatural. And I'm not
I
saying that everything has to be natural, because we're going to
no,
talk
this
about, I mean, honestly, like our entire episode moving forward is talking about how we think that these things aren't natural. So, but there are certain
yeah.
things that need to be natural, and humanity, I feel like, is one of those. We can't just have robots producing babies, because what's going to happen to women? Like, is that eventually going to make us obsolete?
Well, more importantly, one that would make men and women obsolete, because they could just take the sperm, they can take the eggs, they can ultimately split and grow the eggs. Ultimately, you're talking about a horror movie where you could just take an elite, like you can think Wrath of Khan, you can, whether it's Star Trek or whatever you want to go with, about a master race creating the perfect specimen and then just replicating that same DNA strand over and over and over. So they have the same woman, the same man. And even though those are individual people, if they were grown the same way, you wouldn't need the man, you wouldn't need the woman. And then the completely critical missing component too is we haven't gotten to the breastfeeding part where
I hadn't even
where the
considered that.
right. And for those, for where I know it might be in a million people's heads right now, where I'm going with it is it's been proven. Where I'm going with it isn't just that it's the most nutritious thing for a child, but all the immunization, everything that has to do with the baby's health is from their mother's breast milk. And it's not just don't die in the wild sort of functional mechanical robot thing. I think it absolutely carries into the esoteric and the motherly connection to the child. I think it's not just bonding externally, it's internal chemistry.
Mhm.
That child needs you,
Right.
the mom,
Yeah,
period. So there's
absolutely.
no replacing you. no replacing you. There's no robot. They can't synthetically produce it. I don't buy that they can just take the chemistry of the child from them. They can't just take the DNA from my, in quotes, a mother and say, well, we've chemically been able to program a bunch of DNA so that it can create the perfect breast milk and the mom doesn't need to exist. I never see that happening. That's just not possible, because I think
I do think it's possible, because I think it's going to happen. So I think it's possible. Whether it's natural or not, it's obviously not natural, but I do think it's possible, and it's coming. Like, that's where it's coming. So, so it's definitely possible, but the effect, like, what's the prognosis? I mean, are we going to just start producing a bunch of serial killers? Like, what if they empathy?
Well, yeah, but they're called the master race. They're just going to kill everyone. Don't worry about it. It's like that, or you're going to end up with some people that I don't want to name any. Okay, in my mind, I'm just going to say this without saying it, because I don't want it to be, I don't want to single anyone out. I do believe that, robotically speaking, if you took out the mother, mm-hmm. and you took out the father, and you took out a loving relationship, and you took out everything the baby hears and everything you're saying, if you take that out, and even if you mimic all of it, I think robotically doing it, and then say they could produce the right kind of milk and chemistry, but we know there's not only collective human consciousness, we know individually there's something to the spirit of an individual. So that is not replicatable. The cellular system, I'm not opposed to a bunch of cells in a petri dish for a minute until they're implanted for just fertilization, what we're doing right now. But mechanically, if you took out that esoteric, the actual connection, all I'm saying is that you would be creating monsters that I think would have a lack of empathy like we've never seen.
I just had a thought. I agree. I think that could be very possible, but I just had a thought. I'm trying to follow. I don't want to lose the thread. Here's the thought. Okay. So up to this point, humans are born of humans, right? Okay. So now we're moving into a future where robots are going to be having babies. What does that say for consciousness? I mean, does consciousness exist in the sperm and the egg, and together, like, there it is? Like, I wonder what is that? Because it's so unnatural. So would we be producing some NPCs, or would these humans actually have the capacity to, like, be conscious and wake up? You know what I mean?
Crap. Like, you just gave me another idea. Keep going. You just gave me an idea. This sucks.
No. What's your idea? What happened in your brain?
First off, I want to blame you for this.
I'll take responsibility. It's fine. My ego is small. I'll take it. It's fine.
What do you mean? I'm crediting you with this. I
thought you said it was my fault.
For those that aren't going to want to, I can't believe I'm about to say this. Oh my gosh.
Say it.
So for everyone, I'm going to preface it for everyone out there. Christy and I are working on consciousness, and we're working on it through biohacking. We're working on it through meditation. We're working on it through health and fitness. There's a lot of ways we're trying to implement it. And all of it is supposed to make us more connected. We're trying to wake up to be more conscious to the ether, more conscious to collective consciousness, more in tune with the universe. And there's a million ways that this would be good, right? What stops us? Well, each of us have been programmed, and Christy, you're going to tell where I'm going. Each of us have been programmed by our prior genetic systems and our prior, our parents and their experiences. And so if we are taking new kids that have the base programming to make, like, for instance, a laptop or a camera, the thing is we need so many components. So if the building blocks to make a soul that connects, because it's biologically within the sperm and the egg, to create a human that can connect to the collective consciousness, that can be a Krishna, that can be its higher self. If it doesn't have the damage and programming and memories of its father and mother in real time while it's gestating, would that help deprogram millions of years or hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands or the last 5,000 years of us doing it wrong. Is it possible that we might start it with some bad eggs, but if we were to do it artificially this way, would we create people that would be more purely able to connect to the collective consciousnesses without the noise of the direct, okay, within the genes itself?
But where are they going to get perfect genes? Where are they going to get perfect eggs and perfect sperm? Where are they going to get perfection in a genetic code to reproduce another human?
See, that's what I'm saying. They won't. They'll get what we're starting with now. But the difference is that connection, that heartbeat, the voices, the sounds, the life that the average person is living. If the baby has the perfect music, the perfect this, the perfect that, and the perfect stimulus and non-stimulus and peaceful environment, if that gestating human is not exposed to the traumas of the average human being's lives and the emotional ups and downs, if that baby can be raised strictly within this completely 24-hour a day, 7-day a week, 10 months of gestating of perfect environment, would that actually create a human? And mind you, that human is made up of a cellular system that contains genetic memory, that contains memories of life, that contains memories of your experiences and my experiences. So the reality is the baby's still going to wake up with a generational trauma, generational experiences, generational memory. It's still going to wake up with that. But will it be less hindered to overcome it if it doesn't live in a real human, in a real environment where it's not great every day? It's not, and no matter what, we're human. We try to make you pregnant and comfortable. And you know what I mean? It's like, what if it actually, this is the part where I'm like, shit, what if it actually helps? You know? Or is that like an awful idea?
You're saying inside the womb. You're saying these baby, you're talking about this perfection inside the womb. You're not talking about outside, right? You're talking about while
yeah.
Okay.
Yep. They're going in broken, but they're starting with the base genes, whatever they are.
Oh, okay. Okay. You could have led with that. They're going in broken. So they're going in broken because they're coming from us, right? Let's just say they're coming from us. So we're obviously broken. So they're going in with some like messed up genetics. Okay. But maybe we can reverse it during gestation, is what you're saying. So maybe we can fix the genetic flaws in gestation. So that way the human that is produced is, I don't know, but because does this seem like I'm sure there's movies about this, but
I don't think so. I think you're doing it.
No, I'm pretty sure that there is a movie about this, but I'm just wondering, when you start messing with like life in this way and birth and like bringing life into the world, and you think like souls and consciousness and all of it, it just doesn't seem, I'm just like, okay, let's get this first baby done and see what happens. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Let's just get this first baby done and we'll go from there.
So the baby, imagine a baby in the robot getting Beethoven, Bach, Mozart, a perfect sleep schedule. Let's take baby number 2 that's being raised by the family that just got foreclosed on. Mom and dad lost their job.
High cortisol levels flowing through the body during pregnancy.
Yep, grandma just died, or dad just stopped being an alcoholic, or again, it's like they work in a high stress environment. Mom's a firefighter, dad's a firefighter, policeman. You fill in the blank. Doctor, lawyer. What happens when you remove parallel lives? You have a baby being gestated without any of that. Meanwhile, you have a baby, but then does all that outweigh the amount of tremendous, I'm going to ask you a question as a mom for any one of your times. How much did you have moments of gratitude, and how could you even describe the love you had or the feelings of joy you had while you were pregnant?
Oh my God, it's the best thing ever. That's why when I read that, then I listen, I know that there are women out there that don't have good pregnancies. My second one wasn't great. I was sick for 9 months, but there are a lot of women who are bedridden their entire pregnancy, and then of course you've got miscarriages and women who just can't conceive. And so so in those situations, I can see how maybe that particular woman might say, well, if my husband if we could take his and mine and put it together and have the robot carry the baby, it wouldn't be much different than, like a surrogate, but except the one's human, one's not. And so I can see that. But when I read that part of the article that said that, this is going to save women from the suffering of pregnancy, in my mind, I'm thinking like, what? Yeah. Do you get sick? You throw up, you're tired, you swell, your feet hurt, you get stretch marks. Like there's all kinds of shit that happens during pregnancy that's not pleasant, right? But it's the most beautiful thing ever. It's the most beautiful thing ever. Like feeling that happening, like doing the thing, like the connection between, it's just amazing. And so if there's a woman that's capable of doing it, like it just needs to be done that way. I just don't agree with this method. I just don't. It feels like pseudoscience. It feels like Jekyll and Hyde shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, I got one to add in on for you. Let's say you have a couple that really love each other, and medically, I know some women, if they were to be pregnant, they could die. They literally cannot have a baby.
Yeah, that
they
happens.
Can't carry a baby.
That's very unfortunate. Yes.
So I unfortunately, then I can think of a bunch of rare circumstances and that's where people get a surrogate. They get another human being to do these things. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, okay, so I still feel like a real human being is a better route. On the other hand, you don't want, selfishly, I know some people would like to do it without the attachment. So then, oh my God, I just thought of another nightmare situation. What if?
Oh my God, sounds like a fresh baby with no attachment. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. What's the nightmare?
Oh no! What? Yeah. Well, that's exactly the point. What if the baby is actually attached to the robot in an unhealthy way? Huh?
That's what I was saying. Like, what happens with consciousness during this? What do you do with at what point? This is a really good question, and you've got like the pro-life and the whatever thought groups, schools of thought, but like what I just want to follow this thread for a second. Okay. So I don't want to finish that thought now that I think about it.
So I'm having a few. I'm thinking of a few things for this.
I want to make sure we avoid too much controversy. I don't want to say things that could be really like controversial. So
I'm working around it too.
Okay.
I'm working there, but okay. I'm working around it. So if you have a baby that is actually, again, this great emotional environment, if it's being fed the Beethoven, the Mozart, and what if also, if it was being representative, what if the genetic parents, I can't believe I'm speaking like this, the sperm and the,
this is where we're headed.
Right. What if they record their voices doing stories and songs, or sit with the baby and the baby's listening to the actual genetic, because the tones. So if you get the tones right, the perfect frequency.
What if, I'm sorry. What if I'm sorry. I just got really excited. What if they record the mom's heartbeat? What if they record the mom's heartbeat and they play a heartbeat like monitor in the womb for the baby from the actual maternal mom's heartbeat? What if they record like hours and hours of her heartbeat and then they play her heartbeat in the womb? What if they actually, okay, now I feel like I'm changing my mind and I feel like that's not okay. Now I'm like selling myself on this idea. Why am I doing this right now? because I feel like it's against my moral code.
Not only that, but
I'm like,
what if you're thinking of this and they never thought of it?
oh, I'm
What
sure
if
they have.
what if they hadn't? What if they've only thought about the robot part? They're just thinking of it very mechanically, like this is going to make it easier for all these
No,
practical reasons. What if
no,
they
no, no,
weren't
no, no, no. This
thinking
is
about
so
the
big. This is so
what if they
big.
think it what if the people who invented this thought that that part was unnecessary?
No, it's so big. It's so much bigger. And it's not a question. I feel like it's not even like a anything that you would
Yeah.
question. Like I think the biggest issue in this would be it's not natural. So how do we, simulate like the most natural gestation period for a baby? Like what does that look like and what do we do? And if I were making robots, then I would definitely do all of these things. There's got to be women in the room, you know what I mean, saying,
Got to
hey,
ask you something.
this womb right here and this needs a heartbeat, this robot needs a heartbeat.
I got another thing for you then.
Okay, shoot.
Do you eliminate twins?
Okay, that's like step 2. Okay, let's just get through step 1 and see if the baby can actually.
They've shown those ultrasounds of twins holding each other, and what happens if and yeah. Do you still allow twins or triplets or?
Well, I'm wondering if it would be like an artificial insemination type of situation where they would inject multiple eggs. And so there is a chance that there could be like multiple babies, or if they have it so it's such a seamless process that they just like one egg, we're good. We only need one.
What if it is though? What if one robot box kicks out a litter? You can see that.
Why'd you say it like that? What if one robot kicks out a litter? One robot box kicks out a litter. We got a litter of babies.
It's like, hey, there's Octomom. Don't forget about Octomom. She had
whatever happened to
8.
her. Where did she go? I think she got overrun by that. No. I know what happened. This is what happened. There was Octomom, and I think I don't know. I don't know what happened to her, but I do know that what is that? I just watched this. I started this documentary. I was actually writing articles the other day, and I put this on in the background. This is awful. I shouldn't have done it, but I did it. And it was that family that one family. Oh, I can't think of the name. They had like 19 kids or something, and they were on the Discovery Channel or TLC or something like that. Yeah. They were the LDS. Were they LDS? LDS?
Oh, you probably would be surprised.
I think they were LDS or something. I can't remember, but they had like he was like huge in the church, and he ended up like his son molested some of the sisters. They're from Arkansas.
Oh, so many layers here.
Northwest Arkansas. just a hop, skip, and jump away. Yeah. So, anyways, he was huge in the church and did a whole lot of whatever. And they had like 19 kids, and then it was a whole reality series.
So if Octomom's not the record, if
she had all of the babies at one time. This family didn't. I'm sorry. That's where we were going with this.
Yeah, but right. So if 8's not even the limit, if maybe the record is 9 or 10, how the hell many babies could a robot do simultaneously? So if a woman can have 8 little babies happy together in a womb, which blows my mind, and they all live and they're all born, does that mean like one robot could do 20 or more? Like,
what do you even do with that? It's so unnatural. I don't know what to think about it. I haven't sat with it long enough. I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know. But what I do know is in the article when it was like, we're going to relieve women of pregnancy suffering. And I'm just like, what? Yeah, I mean, it sucks and we throw up, but I mean, it's so temporary, you know? Like it's just, I don't know. Anyways, okay, we can move on. So let's get to the cool. Let's get to the cool stuff. Can we dig into where we left off with the oil?
I think we can. Do quick review for everyone: abiogenic or biogenic origins of oil. So the debate, the theory of fossil fuel is literally that. It's a theory. Do we start with that?
Yeah. So fossil fuel is a theory. Where it comes from, its origin is a theory. Is it self-replicating? Is it not? Is it man-made? Is
Yeah.
it natural? Is it finite or infinite?
Right. And on a base level, everyone who's concerned currently for the environment says, well, it freaks some people out because they think it's unhealthy and it's not something that we should be burning. So if it's never ending, there are some just very basic, understandably, some upset people about, okay, well, if it's never ending, then, oh my gosh, we're going to pollute the planet. It's going to be over. And then there's another part of the never ending thing that is also a problem for the oil industry itself, because partially futures and commodities and stocks, the oil business is also based on the scarcity. So there's these estimates for what an oil field has, and then there's this estimate worldwide about saying, okay, well, the world has X amount of oil, and as we are, in quotes, winding down what is a finite supply, the cost and demand is, you could call it right now cynically, artificially increased or decreased. But yes, now you also have the oil industry going.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I am going to, because what you just said, I feel like is important. When you said artificially, what do you mean by that?
Well, if the true scope of the information and the science says, hey, wait, this is an infinite supply, almost, and even if it's finite, like some of the stuff we're going to get into is the oil they're coming up with is way below where there should be any fossils. So the oil's coming from maybe the studies are showing that under the mantle of the earth, there could be this incredibly insane supply. And what we're getting out of the ground right now is just the leftovers of what's leaking up from under the mantle of the earth. That being said, if there is this never ending supply, but they know this, then if you say you have a field, and we have all these examples of fields, wherever they are in the world, and they'll say, okay, well, we can get 60 million barrels, or we can get 400 million barrels, whatever we can get out of this field. There's an estimate, there's a value to that field on the commodities market, on the stock exchanges. And so if it's going down, or if it's currently, or if it's at the beginning of the life cycle of a field, and some fields for everyone out there have been producing oil for 100 years, and what they were producing at the beginning to what they reduced, but then they went back up. So there is a value to the trader to be able to buy and sell shares within a company that is producing oil, where, well, hey, they're only going to be able to make X amount of money for X amount of years, and then the cost to produce is so high. So they say, well, listen, it's a finite supply, but we don't know that. So it will screw with predictions on the values of these stocks for these companies that are in fields that were supposed to run out. They're not running out, and they're finding more, but they're saying, okay, well, there's this idea. It's just an idea that the world has only X amount of oil, but they keep finding more oil. But then they say, well, it costs more to produce because it's in the ocean, or it's this, that, or the other. But they're making it up as they go along. So as long as they're making it up, they can kind of control the cost per barrel, what we pay to produce oil, what we pay to produce the product. They can just say.
So what you're saying basically is, as long as they continue to lie about the amount of oil in the ground, we're going to continue to pay the prices that we have to pay. They get to set the price. They get to say, oh, it's so scarce. This is a scarce commodity, so it's expensive. It doesn't have to be. I just want to read this. So this is from your notes, and I think this is really interesting, and I just want to read this.
Okay.
It says USA petroleum companies generate seismic data to 60,000 feet in depth in the Gulf of Mexico, about 20,000 feet deeper than the depths of ultra-deep drill ships can usually reach. Eugene Island 330 is a petroleum field in the Gulf of Mexico, 80 miles off the coast of Louisiana. It was discovered in 1973 and began producing 15,000 barrels of petroleum per day, which then slowed down to about 4,000 barrels per day in 1989. Unexpectedly, the production spiked back up to 13,000 barrels per day. What the researchers found when they analyzed the petroleum field with time-lapse 3D seismic imaging is that there was an unexplained deep fault in the bottom corner of the computer scan, which showed petroleum gushing in from a previous unknown deep source and migrating up through the rock to replenish the existing supply. I think that is pretty significant. Where is it coming from?
Not and for everyone listening to what was the depth again you said? Because it's really deep, because it's already at the ocean floor, and
20,
then they're
000.
going down.
20,000.
Okay, so
no, I'm sorry, 60,000. No, hold on. Yep, 60,000 feet, and about 20,000 feet deeper than the depths that ultra deep drill ships can usually reach. So the USA Petroleum companies generate seismic data to 60,000 feet. Oh, that's not where they drilled. Let me see how far I think that might have been at the top of the notes. Hold on a minute.
And while Christy's looking, the point about this is that what we're getting to is approximate number of kilometers underground that we're going, because it's kilometers. It's not thousands of feet. It's tens of thousands. It's kilometers. It's miles underground. And it's important.
Here it is. 1 to 3. Oh, but this isn't specific to that site. This just says recent research in high pressure thermodynamics suggests that the mantles heat hydrocarbons to form and exist to a depth of 100 to 300 kilometers. Is claimed that the Earth's mantle could contain hydrocarbons. Okay, so this doesn't say anything about the Eugene Island reservoir.
Yeah, but so the estimates for that the estimates for the research for pricing also, they went from 60 million barrels to 400 million barrels for that find, just for that. But also for everyone listening, the reason I want Christy to look it up is because there is this known a theoretical fact about geology in general, that everything organic on the planet. So here's the problem with abiogenic or biogenic sources of petroleum, is that if it's all melted dinosaurs and plankton and all sorts of
I like
plants,
how you say melted dinosaurs. It sounds really dramatic.
I mean, you know why it sounds dramatic is because there's some dinosaurs that were the size of houses, and all I can think about is something that big melting into goo. And it just seems
because
gross.
that's what happens. Like,
and
all
I
like
can picture is like, okay, we have
that's what happens to bodies. They melt. Like after, if you don't embalm them, they just melt.
I got a little into the whole like Jack the Ripper murder. Like I got into it before it was like a podcast or a show thing. And when I was young growing up. So like, for instance, a human body within 24 hours melts out. Basically all the liquids in you, blood, whatever, melt out onto the floor around. So it seeps through your skin. So the reality is that a lot of the stuff in you you become a kind of a pool of it within a day.
Yeah. You want to hear a story real quick? I'll tell you a story that is exactly like what you're saying right now. And we can just get there and then we can move on because it's so gross.
Okay.
I know a person who works in a field in emergency response. Okay. And this person, so there was a wellness check on this family, these kids or whatever, I don't know. And so they went to check on this family. They couldn't get in the house. So fire department comes out, whatever. Oh shit, I just gave it away. Anyways. So they go out and the mom was dead. The kids were very young, very, very young in the house. And they'd been in there for a minute by themselves. And they were laying and like loving, like laying, I don't know. Anyways, she was literally melting into the floor is what he said. Like she was melting melting. Like she was melting into the floor.
Yeah.
She was melting. I didn't even know that was a thing until then. I didn't know we melted.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. And so why not picture billions and billions of dinosaurs melting into oil, apparently?
It's a thing. And we melt.
Well, here's the problem with it, though. At 60,000 feet.
I don't know that that's true. I'm still looking.
Okay. Well, you keep looking. And while you're looking, the truth is that oil. So here's the problem is that wells are being drilled and they're going past where all organic life is allegedly been formed and then died and then got churned into the earth's as the earth has cycled through volcanic and tectonic plate shifting that eventually and through composting, you name it, that every single so in all of the history, again, this is like we're talking about biological sciences that were decided over 100 years ago. And they're saying, okay, well, we just don't have organic fossils below 14,000 feet, period. And I'm guessing you're getting to how deep are some of these wells?
Okay. So we have the Pennzoil block at 330. Number one well was drilled to a depth of 1,920 meters, so 6,300 feet. And the Shell block 331, and both of these are part of Eugene Island, were reached 3,383 meters or 11,098 feet. Production wells drilled to 3,800 meters, 12,000 feet. Cranberry Creek, 3,900 meters, 13,000 feet. 2,700 meters, 4,200 meters. Oh, wrong one. $12,000 feet. So it doesn't look like it's, I'm not seeing 60,000.
So dig down. Okay. Not 60, but if you, so I had some, let's take the Russians way down in the deep notes. Go down to Russia. And for those listening, this is important because part of it is well, and I don't want to steal your thunder on this. So
my thunder?
Yeah. So more details of the if you go down to the Russians in the more details, I want it to be your thunder. The Russians are the first thing listed under more details.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm in my notes, not yours.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, I'm getting there. Give me a second. I don't know where they went.
Everybody is worried about 20 dozen babies being gestated by a single robot giant mother womb. It could be like a mothership womb with nothing but baby juices in it.
Nothing but baby juice.
And then they can make it into oil. And then you know what? Think about birth now. Instead of a baby coming out in a woman's birthing way, the baby could come out in a very pretty little, like pre-prepared, like box, like a pretty box of chocolates.
Did you say in a woman's birthing way? If the baby doesn't come out in a woman's birthing way. Okay, Russians, what are you wanting to know? Starting in 1970, what are you wanting to know?
Well, let's go.
40,000. Okay, so this isn't the Eugene site off the Gulf of Mexico. That's why. This is located in the Arctic Circle. That's why it didn't come up. So this one reached a depth of 40,230 feet. And then since then, Russia drilled more than 310 reportedly successful deep petroleum wells and placed them into production. It took the Soviets almost 20 years to drill this far. But the drill bit was still only about 1/3 of the way through the crust when the Earth's post-Soviet Russia. So they didn't make it. 40,230 feet or 12 kilometers.
Here, I got something else I want you to add into this, Chris. let's add this in. Scroll down to Japanese drilling project, which is the next thing below the Russians. And this, I wanted to point this out from first sentence, first thing, because her and you may or may not have heard us in prior podcasts talk about the amount of water that's underground and it's contained in rocks, right? But what happened when the Russians kept digging? What's in that next section?
Okay, I'm going. So I'm reading under Japanese, right?
Yep.
You're so excited. It's cute. Okay. When the Russians started to drill, they claimed they had found free water. This was not believed by most scientists. There used to be common understanding among Western scientists that the crust was so dense 5 kilometers down that the water could not permeate through it. You can find mantle close to the surface, but that is mantle as it was millions of years ago. If the earth is like an onion, beyond this is the 1,800-mile deep mantle, and beyond that, right at the center of the earth, is the core. So what am I reading?
Water.
Oh, that's that part.
You just read.
My eyes got big.
Actual water.
Free water. They started to drill. They claimed they had found free water, like beneath the water table.
Yeah, beneath where when we were talking a few podcasts episodes ago about water being trapped in rock and that there was more.
I think there was a delay and you went away for like just a second.
Am I back?
Yep, you're back.
So we talked about their water being trapped in rock and that it wasn't free, but it was more water than what's in the ocean. This is actual liquid water at a depth that it should not exist at all.
Not the sponge, right? Because I don't want to segue here, but I do want to ask you, did you hear about that? Like that there is some sort of a reservoir in the earth that's been discovered that is like large, that contains more water than the ocean, than all of
Yes, we talked about this in a prior episode.
Oh, we've talked about so many things I cannot remember.
No, you're totally right though, but we did. And here's the Russians going, and don't you like how they put it? The Russians claim it's like, well, you were pretty good with all the other things they've done because they're pretty scientific. So they claim they found liquid water. Also, by the way, at this depth, which I didn't include, I just thought I'd mention it to you. They found liquid boiling hydrogen out of the same thing.
Boiling hydrogen.
Yep. Huh. Yes. And came out of the same when they were digging. They got goo, and the goo was, for instance, they got this liquid boiling hydrogen. They measured the temperatures. There so much weird crap has come. I feel like one of these days, like a needle, we're going to drill into what's going to be like a major vein of the planetary existence, and I don't think we should be like poking
doing it. Why are we poking at things? Let's stop.
Right?
We're gonna tip her off. She's gonna backfire.
And if water contains memory, what does that water at that depth remember?
Oh my God.
I love when you're excited. I kind of want to take a picture.
I hadn't even considered that part. What? Because it does. Oh my God. What if that water contains memory? And what if that water is billions of years old? Is that possible? Could it contain the memory of like
the creation of the planet or the beginning of the solar system?
That's a big thought. I don't know if I can follow that one right now.
Right, because what if that water got encased before the water that's on the planet now? So it really has a separate memory. What if it has instructions about the core, the history of the planet from creation, and also what planet it came from or where in the universe it traveled from?
That's so fun. Now I'm like, drill, baby, drill. I'm kidding. I'm not. But I kind of.
Yeah. Suck it all out.
Okay, let's move on to the
Somebody get
next. Okay, so what we have here, we have so our point, what we're trying to get to is
You're too excited.
I'm so excited. We have certain phenomenons on the planet that are remain a mystery. We can't explain it. We don't know. One of these is oil. We don't know. We can't. Is it organic? Is it not? Is it bioengineered? Is it man-made? Is it made by the architects of the earth, of the planet, the planetary builders, as you put it? So anybody that wants to read any more about this, like, go to the website. There's an article on there. Read it. It's really good. He wrote it, so it's good. Anywho.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. So
you've written so many other articles, though, so everybody read all of them.
Okay, no. So anyways, let's move on from that weird thing to sequoias, because I feel like there are certain things on the planet that we just can't answer, the questions we can't answer. And what I don't what keeps me up at night is, why aren't we answering these questions? And why aren't more people asking questions? And why aren't we talking about it? Why is this not something that is kind of a big deal? Because it's kind of a big deal, but it's so hush hush. Nobody really talks about it. And you have to dig really deep to find solid information on this stuff too. It's not readily available at your fingertips. So let's move on to the sequoias, because that's another really weird phenomenon. It's super mysterious. So the sequoias, we've got a couple of types, right? We've got the coast redwood, and then we've got the dawn sequoias, right? What are they called?
Yeah, the meta
sequoia. Yeah. So I'm trying
I like
to get
when you're being particular.
You like when I'm what?
I like when you're being particular.
Okay, so this is the coolest part to me. So of all the research I did on the sequoias, this was the coolest part.
Okay.
And if we could replicate this in humans, we would just, I feel like, be immortal. So
I think we did.
Okay, so typically there are copies of genomes in all things, humans, plants, trees, all the things. There are copies of genomes. And so we are like diploids, humans and animals, mostly diploid. And then there's some plants that are like tetraploid. So there's like, there's 4 copies of their genome. And then, but sequoias are hexaploid. So there's 6. So basically there's like 6 genetic backups to keep them safe. It's like if your genes are dying off from environmental factors, but you've got all these backup genes to replace it, you just never age, right? So as we live our existence on the planet, we're exposed to all of these environmental factors, and we eat food that's really bad for us, and we drink water that we don't have to go there. Anyways, we expose ourselves to a lot of toxins, which causes aging and disease and illness and all of this stuff in the body and the mind and all of that. But these trees, they just keep living. Some of these sequoias are 3,000, not the meta sequoias, but the coast redwood sequoias. These are 3,000 years old. They're ancient. They've outlived some ancient civilizations. Like, these things are old, and they're unchanged. Like, their biologics are unchanged. Their genome is unchanged. It's exactly the same as it was. It's not evolved any further, and they're just here, living, existing. Like, they're not. Mm-hmm. So this genome, the hexaploid genome that they have, it's like a backup for all of the damage, all of the environmental damage that's being done to the trees that just naturally die off. And they don't, because they have all of these shields around them, these backup genes that just rebuild whatever they're exposed to. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. 100% amazing.
What are your thoughts on that?
I'm going to relate it to the Sumerians.
Oh, fun.
And the ancient Sumerian kings list, the pre-flood kings list, where we have 8 kings living about 250, a lot of arguments, whatever. And the nuance is 257 to 267,000 years old. You have 8 kings in the pre-Diluvian. They literally have a king's list that says pre-flood, post-flood. So you have pre-flood kings, each of them living and, well, ruling, they said, for like 30,000. It comes out to about 265,000 years. So you have 8 kings.
Right? Collectively, 8 kings.
Right. So 8 kings lived over the course of over 260,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't think about this, but one, the coastlines, like we brought up Doggerland from Scotland to France, it was all one place. And the Mediterranean and the Caribbean were once lakes. And we're talking, because we've talked to Peter about the sunken city off of Cuba, that was 50,000 years ago, that basically the Caribbean would have been a big Great Lake kind of around from Florida to Cuba. It would have been just a lake, and the Mediterranean. So let's think back prior to the flood of 12,600 years ago, the Younger Dryas. And let's think about 260,000 years. So let's add our time now, the 12,000, let's call it 13,000 years. So 280,000 years ago, we're going to round up. 280,000 years ago, and we're going to talk about sequoias and redwoods, and the medicinal purposes may have tied into, I think, the longevity of these kings. So,
oh my God, yeah, because yes, because there's medicinal properties in these trees that cure cancer and all of these things suspectedly. So they knew. Right? Is that what you're saying? Is that where you're going? Or am I just in the left field?
No, not only am I going there, but where I'm going is that what people don't imagine, they think of when we say the world, they can see Africa, they can see Europe, they can see Italy, they can see the boot, they can see the Mediterranean. What they're not looking at is at the coastlines 280,000 years ago, 300,000 years ago, were not the coastlines. The Mediterranean was a lake. All of North Africa was, even 5,000, 6,000 years ago, was a tropical paradise 5,000 years ago. But 12,000 years ago, more 300,000 years ago, the greatest group of trees throughout the world were the metasequoias and the redwoods. And all of them have these medicinal, anti-cancer, antibacterial, antifungal. They have all these things where they're sucking in what would have been absorbed by us. But I think the biological benefits of these trees weren't because we crushed them and ate them, but because they exist across the world in a landscape that is so foreign to us. So when we think the King's List and we think Sumeria, we think of a dusty, dirty pyramid that's in the desert. That is not how it was. It was tropical and interesting 6,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago. But pre-Younger Dryas, North Africa for sure was filled with rivers and creeks and botanical paradises. And so how much of the world was being balanced and harmonized by a biological system, including this complex DNA system that these trees, if we're living on a bio, not hacked, but bioengineered planet, how healthy would a human be living amongst species like this if they were worldwide and in a coastal and in a world that was much more harmonized on these ley lines, everything else? Would it be really impossible to live 30,000 years?
I don't think anything's impossible. So no.
Did I paint a good picture though of what the world looked like?
Yeah, no. I think that's solid. But are you saying that just being in the presence of the trees creates that, or do you feel like they maybe were brewing something from the bark?
Well, I wonder if when we think of like connected tree, like the idea of the secret world of trees, or the idea of connected networks, the fungal and bacterial networks that were in the ground, like with Terra Preta, with an engineered soil, was it possible then that between the forests and the trees, was it possible that the very things that we ingested had much healthier mineralized, and not just basic minerals, but what if the components that made them not just antibacterial, antifungal, or anti-cancerous, because that's one of the proofs within these metasequoias, is that there are biological studies that are showing that they're anti-cancer, and they're anti-everything, right? Antibacterial, anti-cancer. And why would that not maybe bleed into whatever crop you're growing?
I wonder if they're anti-cancer and disease and illness and all of that because they are hexaploids, because they have 6 copies of their own genome. So I'm wondering if maybe some of their existence is because, because if they are exposed to, the environmental illness that they're probably exposed to, is it like a filtering system, inside of the tree itself, like filters the environmental disease around them. And so we're saying like maybe they have all of these properties that can cure these, cancers and illness and all of those things. But I'm wondering is it being around them? Is it brewing the bark? And also, is it due to the genome of the tree?
Right. I wonder if the missing components, when we always think of like, and I grew up in that very Catholic world where it's like, oh, the Garden of Eden, it's his perfect place. But again, what if the allegory, what if the story of it is that if you're in an environment, a botanical, biological environment with something like these metasequoias, that they're one of many things that when we were living amongst them, were producing because of their genetic structures, were they producing the things that helped us fend off and create longevity? And yes, we're reverse engineering and experimenting with them now. And then the trees themselves, you're like, well, the trees learn to adapt, that there's general evolution. Like, for instance, they survived for millions of years in the Arctic Circle. And eventually they could literally have a 4-month dormant period. And they were able to live what was once in a tropical environment. And then when it changed, the 3 of the Metasequoia, the redwoods, they survived the ice age.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second, because we're an hour and 6 in, and I want to make sure that we have one more, and I know we're going to spend some time on Terra Preta. So you're like a Terra Preta.
We're blending.
So we're
blending it.
I know. So I want to talk a little bit more about this, but then I also want to make sure that we get to the Terra Preta. So I have a question for you. Do you think that if we had 6 copies of our own genome, that we would be able to defeat cancer and all of the, do you think that we could live?
Oh my gosh. What if that's
3,000 years if we had 6 copies of our genetic code inside of us?
What you just made me think of is, what if that's how we built everything? What if the digression of the human genome right now, what if the de-evolution of humanity
is a de-evolution in our genome sequence, and we don't have as many copies anymore? But maybe we still, oh my God. Okay. So what if, and listen, I'm not trying to say the Bible is whatever, but what if?
Just don't start with that. Just keep talking, but just don't reference that. Then it wouldn't have anything to do with it.
So the ages of the people, the ages of the people, why and how, how do we make sense of that? And maybe there's a connection between how they lived so long and no. Okay. I see your face. What are your thoughts?
No, I'm totally tracking with you. Keep going. You're onto it.
No, I'm just thinking, I wonder if the reason why they lived so long in the biblical days was because maybe they were drinking bark tea from a sequoia.
There is a reference that it's the God tree.
Or maybe they had more copies of their own genome.
There was a reference. So for everyone listening, I'm going to rewind to validate what you're saying, that there was these tens of millions of years of history. Well, they thought that in the Jurassic period, they thought these trees were 150, 300 million years old, and that they did not exist for at least 50 million years. And then suddenly someone in Japan and then
China.
Respectively China in 1941 and 44, 45 or whatever, 48,
44.
Yeah, so 41 first from Japan, and then they again go at it. The point is that this is a tree. The metasequoias were thought to have been extinct, and there they were alive and kicking, and it blows everyone's minds away. But one of the things that was said within the village where they were growing was that they had made tea, and that there were people who had sickness and illness that were cured from the bark. And that's how we're functioning now. But what if our higher functioning meta cells, what if our DNA was able to pick up and program from just the environment of the living forests and other botanical engineering, that we had those DNA sequences that allowed us to accept that frequency or energy through our skin, or through just being our eyes, or being present, hearing it, being there for it. But either way, it's like, if we had to make a tea, fine, so be it. But I just don't, I think
like being in the
when we hear
presence
things,
of it was enough. Like it was filtering the air, so you weren't actually exposed to the toxins, because the trees were there filtering the toxins before they ever made it
yeah,
to
those trees drew them. Those trees like drew the cancer, drew
just like
the
sucked it
toxins,
all
drew
in
like
before
carbon
it,
dioxide, except everything.
yeah, before it got to you. That makes so much sense, right?
Yeah. And
Doesn't
I
it?
think that there were different layers. Doesn't it make sense? Because depending on the ailment, there were so many things that would come up as we sped through the galaxy and the solar system. We spun around. What if all the plants, oh my gosh, what if all the botanical information, what if all the botanical existence of everything is a history of the planet of the Earth traveling through space, and a cure to every ailment of every frequency that hit the planet?
Oh my God. What if, oh my God. What if the sequoias were made by, what if they were bioengineered? What if they were bioengineered by interdimensional or extraterrestrial or whatever, or us from before? What if they were bioengineered and they were put here to help us? They were put here for that reason. Like as
Oh
we
my
pass,
God.
as we move through the galaxy on this big giant floating space rock, it's absorbing all of the radiation and environmental. Oh my God, what if that is what it is? What if these trees are so massive and they have
Right.
an unexplainable, mysterious genetic code, right? And we cannot explain it, and we don't know where it
Yep.
comes from, and it's all
Yep.
theory. Oh my God, just like the oil in
Yeah.
the earth. Okay, so the so as we're floating through space, these trees were put here, bioengineered by other or greater or planetary builders, like you said. And
Yeah.
that's what their purpose is to filter toxins. And then we screwed it all up somehow. We've screwed it all up. And leave it to humans to screw everything up. But what if that's what they're here for? What if like the oil and the sequoia? Oh my God, that's exactly why we're doing this episode. Let's move on to the next one. Let's talk about Terra Preta. We have like 10 minutes.
You're really going to cut this off? That roll that you're on?
I can't. I need to follow the thread, but I don't want to do it live.
You sure?
Yeah. I need to like sit with it for a second. I want to follow the thread by myself in privacy, so I can just like be an idiot and think stupid shit, and nobody's going to judge me for it. I don't want to do it out loud. I got to process this. Is a lot. That's a lot. I haven't even considered that. You know what's so funny is you've like 3 times today, you're like, "Do you sure you don't want to get on the phone and have a conversation before the show?" And I'm like, "No, surprise me." And now I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. I got to process it. Should have done it before.
Yeah, but this is one of those evolutions of us piecing back together what humanity really is. And it's because we know that there is the extreme antiquity of humanity. And exactly one of the reasons we're talking about all this is to piece it back together in a way that you can just tell, you can immediately feel when a piece of the puzzle fits.
Right.
Back.
That's right. It resonates like truth. And I say this like, and I really don't think that it's it exists for every human on the planet. I don't think it works this way for everybody, but I think that the more conscious you are, the more awake you are, the more truth resonates. So when somebody tells you truth, you feel it. When you read truth, you feel it. When you hear truth, you feel it. And when you don't, you feel it. Like the alternative, you feel it. And you just know it just doesn't sit as well. And I think the more conscious you become, because people put off, words emit frequencies, energy. And so I think that when somebody speaks, it emits the frequency carries like that vibration that hits you and you're like, ooh, like that doesn't feel good. You know what I mean? So if somebody's like pissed off, low key, even if they're passive aggressive and they spit out that energy, you feel it. Like, you know, right? You feel the energy. And I feel like it's the same way. Don't you?
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that makes me always wonder, you're speaking and I'm thinking of the alphabet and the goddess. I'm thinking of that book about the origin, and they theorize about the origins of human speech. But we know that there is hundreds of millions of years of human history of anatomically correct humans. It's proven, it's in the ground. Would it be interesting to find what the original languages were, or if there was one that was more harmonic?
What if it wasn't? What if there wasn't a language though, Jared? What if it was like just a whole planet full of synthelites?
Synthelites.
No.
Yeah.
Synthelites. It doesn't feel right. A bunch of people with synesthesias. Like what if everybody was what if everybody was vibrating so high and so in tune to themselves that it was more of like a telepathic communication? Do you think that's possible?
I think it's both, because I think it's true, but there's always a part to sound. So maybe speech, maybe vocalization wasn't for speech. Maybe it was just for song. Maybe it was just for tuning, or like when you have a tuning fork when you're working on a violin or something, and when you're tuning the strings or another instrument, your voice may have been something that could was a programming tool. Maybe not just thoughts. Maybe you could speak something, the resonating sound, like our vocal cords. Again, if we had a different genetic structure, perhaps the sounds that were made from our voices were very different, or the sounds, because we know the harmonics and sound affected synthelites. Music and sound is part of it.
That doesn't sound right to me. I don't think it's synthelites.
Synthelite is an individual. Synesthesia is the condition. Synthelite is the individual.
I don't think it's synthelite.
All right. To the rescue, the internets.
I feel like it's not. It sounds right, but it's not. It doesn't feel right in me. I'm looking.
Yes.
I'm looking.
But
go ahead. I'll find it.
Yeah, well, you look for it, and the idea though that we were once more in tune also, I think, leads to, I don't think longevity was just a goal. I think that we did connect and live. Everything was living longer, like these sequoias, these meta sequoias, these different redwoods. They were well within the parameters of being able to overcome individual diseases, or be able. Oh, go ahead.
It's synthesthetes, not synthelites. I can't. I feel like I have a list. It's fine, okay, guys. Okay, hold on a second.
Syntheses.
Why is this so hard? Synthesthetes. It's synthesthetes. Not synthelites. Synthesthetes. There's no L in this word. It's synthesthetes. I knew that didn't sound right. Synthesthetes. It's synthesthetes. Synthesthetes. I can't. It just makes me sound.
So for everyone listening, SYNESTH. Synthesthetes.
It's SYNESTHETES.
Synthesthete.
Synthesthete.
All right, so no L.
Why is it so hard?
You know what? Put the damn L in it. Let's be done with this. Put the L in it.
Like
Put
an
the L
athlete,
in it.
but a whatever. Anyways, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, well, it's just curious to me because I think when we tie together the different stories, so why is there a king's list? Like, why do the Sumerians know so much about pi and math, and they somehow don't know how to explain time? Like, they don't know what 30,000 years of rule would mean versus doing the pi and the math on a ziggurat. No, I don't think so. I think that they knew perfectly well what time was. And so I don't think it's moons. I don't think it's a story. If they're talking about the longevity of humans, and then we have biblically, you know, Methuselah and Jared and people living for 1,000 years. But now you have Sumerians living for tens of thousands of years. And I think when you combine it with these meta-sequoias and these ancient networks that were living indefinitely or for thousands of years, I think that if you piece it all together and you think of what the Earth geographically looked like, and then geologically look like, and botanically look like, and you look at the functions of these things mixed with engineered self-replicating soils like Terra Preta,
Okay,
you
so
have
get there. I want to do that too. So keep talking. Finish that.
Yeah. So the idea is you have a world that is engineered for longevity, for sustainable living through the cosmos.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
No, I think you're right. 100%. I think you're
And
right.
I think
when you combine all of the things. Go ahead.
Well, I think you're right about the losing when you pointed out the genome and the structure of the sequoias. I think you're onto something completely true about somehow our genome failed, or we accidentally let it fail, or maybe
I wonder if that sliced in our DNA like 26,000 years ago or whatever. Let's just say average. We'll just average it at like 22. Let's just say there was an average 23 years ago. Like there was a slice in our DNA. I wonder if they just sliced out like 4 copies of our genome.
Ooh. You know what?
So that we couldn't live longer, because biblical people lived so long, you know, and now here we are dying at like 80 years. So I mean, obviously there's all of these environmental factors that contribute to our death, but you know, at the end of the day, I'm just wondering if I wonder if that slice in our DNA 20 whatever thousand years ago has anything to do with the reason why we die so young.
What makes me wonder if it was a slice and a cut where they took something out, deleted it, and they pulled 2 pieces together. But then it makes me wonder, is it something that we could piece back in if we looked at DNA from a Neanderthal, or if we were able to look at more ancient bones and pull actual yes. So for everyone listening, genetic tissue is not supposed to be viable. The oldest stuff we've found now is about 33 to 38,000 years in some dinosaurs like that. Of course, there's an argument that's like, well, that's not possible because you can't find it that old, but then we did. And then it's like, okay, well, wait, did these dinosaurs live longer? Are they not 30 something thousand years old? But we have found some old DNA. I would think then that if we found some of these extreme human antiquities of anatomically correct humans and we could pull the genome out, we could find the missing DNA.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if that's why Gilgamesh got taken from Iraq. Remember?
Oh my gosh. Why are you putting all of this together right now tonight? I have chill bumps. Why, if that's why Hillary Clinton was like, hey, where is Gilgamesh?
Uh-huh.
That's why. Yes.
So then now you have
that would be if you could research that. That would be that would answer so many questions. That would answer so many questions. That's why where is the body of Gilgamesh? Which
magically disappeared during that war. But to your point, then we are putting out in the ether for the first time, at least we're putting out the pieces that, hey guys, if there's ancient, maybe that's one of the other reasons they don't want humans to be that old, because if we can provide DNA beyond the split or the cut 26,000, 23,000 years ago, if we can produce any DNA to make up for the missing pieces, we might be able to gain our longevity back and some more consciousness.
What if the reason why they don't want us to live longer is because the longer we live, the more opportunity we have to wake up. The longer we live, the more opportunity we have to see through the veil. The longer we live, the less control they maintain. The longer we live, the less money they make. So the theys out there benefit from the lack of longevity.
You know, I think that's how they actually, so I'm going to stick with that for a second. I think that I think you're totally right. They think that the reality is that if you would have smaller services and have people around longer for services that they need to maintain themselves, you would actually make more money. It's the whole ant thing. If you have us going in for constant maintenance and red light therapies and whatever else, the reality is that the longer we're around, the more money you're going to actually make. The model is twisted. It's freak economics right now.
Well, it depends if they change their perspective and they start marketing more conscious products and less poison. But the thing is, if they start marketing more conscious products and less poison than the pharmaceutical companies, they go down. You know, they're gonna suffer. So then. And because we know all of these certain things are in bed together, you know, we just know that we don't have to talk about it right here on the show, but we know that certain things are in bed together. So if they start promoting health and wellness and healthy products and sustainable living and in red light therapy, and they start promoting alternative health, then all of the pharmaceutical companies that make millions and billions of dollars every year that we don't, so we're not going to get political. We're not going to go down this rabbit hole, but I am just going to say, what if that is the reason why that these things are not discussed and talked about and marketed? But you're right, though, if they would shift their perspective, and they would market, the pharmaceutical companies would fail. But see, it's just like life is a feedback loop. I feel like also that system of control, greed, money, power, all of that is also a feedback loop and like an organizational feedback loop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, so it's, if that loop continue, if there's a break in that loop, then there's going to have to be something to fill that void, to fill that gap. So if you remove the pharmaceutical companies, you have to replace it with something to make all of the other things money to keep the wheels spinning.
So for instance, like right now, a fertilized soil takes 16, give or take, minerals, right? They have a fertilizing package of about 16. Dr. Joe Wallach's work, and what we're trying to do is there's about 100 nutrients minerals that should be in whatever you're eating, like Irish sea moss. So if the pharmaceutical companies could go away from like, well, all these XYZ diseases have XYZ medications. If you could just start with the fact that you could go from 16 to 74 more minerals to incorporate within food, there's 74 more products that everyone every day has to eat. Mm-hmm. And there's so much more volume in that. But I kind of want to piggyback on something you said earlier because you blew my mind. You made me think of something. What if the other reasons we don't have, you do it a lot. So what if the other reason we don't live long, and you made me think of it, what if that splice in the DNA that deactivates us, what if the longer we live, the entire feedback loop of the system, the connection between the ether, the planet, and us, what if we live long enough that missing DNA or component downloads to us? What if it repairs itself over time? What if what's left of the biological botanical system and everything else, what if it actually downloads to us?
Or and what if not just living long enough, but what if what if as we become more conscious and we feed our bodies the right things and we take care of our mind, body, spirit, we work in alignment with ourself and our higher self and the ether, and we're doing all of the right things, right? And so what if just that act alone begins the repair of that splice? You know what I mean? Like, what if, because we, you know, like every year our cells replace themselves, and so like, what if, because we're made that way,
Right.
What if that happens? What if, as we expand our consciousness and we start doing better things for ourselves, eating better, making better choices in what we put in our body and what we expose ourselves to, the products we put on our skin, the toothbrush or the toothpaste that we use to brush our teeth, you know, fluoride free. Everybody should be fluoride free for your pineal gland. But anyways, if we could just start somewhere and we could work from there, you know, maybe it would just naturally replenish itself.
Right. And then this cycle doesn't get broken, and right when anyone's about to go at it, there seems to be these purges, or so it could be collectively and individually, and it's paralleling what turns into this cycle that we've seen in just the last, well, even probably the last 5,000 years. I mean, we can see the remnants and dust of every single society that's risen. The longest, you could say, either the Roman, the Greek, or the Tartarian Empire. Those may span a couple thousand years and overlap a little bit. Like if we go back to Tartarian Greece, and then we could say Roman. So it's like we could say there was these periods where maybe collectively the human race was maybe on track to wake back up. But we can just see from common human history that we just keep not collectively doing it at all. We just keep failing collectively.
But I think that is a lack of collective consciousness is the reason why it's happening. But I think that's a shift that's happening on the planet, which we are out of time. And that leads us to our next episode, because we are about to start a series, which we didn't get to Terra Preta. So maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll do a special segment at some point on Terra Preta, because we didn't quite make it there. But this does lead us to the next series, which is a consciousness series, which is going to be really interesting starting next Wednesday. So hopefully you guys tune in. And thanks for watching. Right? Do you have any words?
No, thanks for watching. That's about it. It was a good time.
Yeah, it was a good time. I hate that I feel like we have so much to say and we just ran out of time really fast.
We did. So next Wednesday.
We'll see you guys next Wednesday.